Hi guys, how are you doing? A couple of top CEOs have stepped down this year. We just heard the other day that Jack Ma stepped down, and today we're hearing that Linus Torvalds is stepping down from active development of Linux. And let us see what it is. But before we go ahead, if you don't know who this man is, then you shouldn't be using any computer at all. You shouldn't be using your Android phone because Android operating system was built on Linux operating system. From what I understand, that Linux is was built by this man. You understand? All the Linux systems, there are basically three types of operating systems in the world right now, like three major types. There's Windows, there's Mac, and there's Linux. Then they said over 80 to 90% of the internet runs on Linux operating system. And the thing with Linux is that it's free. Some people call it Linux. I prefer to call it Linux, but then some people call it Linux. So I'm talking about the same thing. That is Linux. So some people, the thing is, Linux is free, unlike Mac and Windows, where you have to pay and is owned by a certain company that can decide to be intruding into your privacy. Linux is free and it's open source. You can go right into the code and see what's happening there and see whether anybody is picking at you or not. And then if you want to build any operating system, it's obviously not advised that you start from scratch. You basically go to GitHub and clone Linux and then customize it to what you want. That's how people build new operating systems. So this is the guy that built it. I think he started in 1989, 91. That was when he built it. He was 19 years old and he was 100 level. He dropped out to build it. So this man, I think he's either 40s or 50s now. I'm not sure of his exact age, but all I want to say before I read why he stepped down is that this man is a fucking legend. He's a legend. Even him stepping down or stepping back to embark on another project, all the flags in all the tech companies all around the world should fly on half mast. This man is a damn legend. He's a legend, living. You understand? Motherfucking icon. All right, so let's see what's they wrote here. I'm reading from ZNet. They said Linus Tovalds takes a break from Linux. Linux creator is stepping back from his kernel network or work to work instead in his behavior toward other developers. So in case you don't know, the backstory is that Linus Torvalds has been, he's a very brutal, straightforward communicator. So when people don't get things right in his team, he kind of attacks them very seriously, either verbally or through the chat. So I think that's the kind of thing that just happened. Said in a surprising move, Linus Tovalds, Linux creator, is taking a break from his Linux kernel work to work on his behavior towards other developers. In a note to the Linux Kernel Mailing List, Torvalds wrote, "I need to change some of my behavior and I want to apologize to the people that my personal behavior hurt and possibly drove away from the kernel development entirely." If you follow the trials and tribulations of Linux development, this is mind-blowing. For the almost 30 years that Torvalds has been working on the kernel, he has been famous or infamous for his outbursts towards programmers and others who didn't meet his high expectations. Over the decades, Torvalds has turned into security developers, open source lawyers, and other kernel developers such as Sage Sharp. Every few months, there will be another 4-letter Torvalds eruption. This became publicly accepted, but privately it left bad blood. The last straw was a side issue. Torvalds had forgotten Maintainer Summit. A meeting of Torvalds' top 40, or a meeting of Linux top 40 or so developers had already been scheduled when he made plans for a family vacation. The upshot of this was the developers moved the summit from Vancouver, Canada as part of the private Linux Plumbers conference to Edinburgh, Scotland, at the same time as the European Open Source Summit. James Bottomley, a top Linux kernel developer and one of the Plumbers organizers, explained, For 2018, the plan was that we would have the Maintainer Summit on Monday afternoon and the rest of the Kernel Summit running through the Plumbers in Vancouver. Because of Linus' travel cook-up, he can't make the Plumbers at all. So the current plan is to convene the maintainer part of the summit in Edinburgh as half-a-day invitation-only event, but keep the open Kernel Summit track in Plumbers and give all the Maintainer Summit attendees a free Plumber pass to encourage them to go to Vancouver as well. So all the substantive technical Kernel Summit content will be in Plumbers, but the invite only process, they won't be co-located. As Torvalds explained, I was somewhat embarrassed about having screwed up my calendar, but honestly, I was mostly hopeful that I wouldn't have to go to the Kernel Summit that I have gone to every year for just about the last 2 decades. Yes, it was rescheduled, but along the way I realized I had completely misread some of the people involved. Torvalds looked at himself in the mirror and he wasn't happy. He realized I wasn't actually funny. It wasn't actually funny or a good sign that I was hoping to just keep the yearly Kernel Summit entirely, and on the other hand, realizing I had been ignoring some fairly deep-seated feelings in the community. Torvalds admitted, I am not an emotionally empathetic kind of person, and that probably doesn't come as a big surprise to anybody, least of all me. The fact that I then misread people and don't realize for years how badly I've judged a situation and contributed to an unprofessional environment is not good. So this week, people in our community confronted me about my lifetime of not understanding emotions. My flippant attacks in emails have been both unprofessional and uncalled for, especially at times when I made it personal in my quest for a better patch. This made sense to me. I know now this was not okay and I am truly sorry. So this is basically an apology, but I will keep reading. It said, I've been covering technology and its top creators such as Torvalds and the household names like Steve Jobs since 1980s. Whether you call it borderline personality disorder, Asperger's syndrome, or simply a drive to succeed, many of these technology leaders are not good at working and playing with others. What is vanishingly rare is someone realizing that there is a problem and it needs fixing. As John O'Bacon, a leading community strategy consultant, wrote, his post today is a pretty remarkable change of posture for him, and I encourage that we as community support him in making these changes. Bacon continued, it is easy to forget that Linux was started by a quiet Finnish kid in his university dorm room. It is important to remember that just because Linux has scaled elegantly, it doesn't mean that Linus has been able to. He isn't a code base. He is human being, and bugs are harder to spot and fix in human beings. So Torvalds has decided I need to change some of my behavior, and I want to apologize to the people that my personal behavior hurt and possibly drove away from the kernel development entirely. I'm going to take time off and get some assistance on how to understand people's emotions and respond appropriately. Torvalds will be back. This is not some kind of I'm burnt out. I need to just go away. Break. I'm not feeling like I don't want to continue maintaining Linux. Quite the reverse. I very much do want to continue to do this project that I have been working on for almost 3 decades. Alright, so I think we're going to stop here. Let me know what you think about what happened with Torvalds. As you can see, it's basically a beef. You understand? He wanted to stylishly skip the conference since he said he has been attending it every year for the past 30 years. So this year he wanted to skip it for his family vacation, but it didn't go well. They had to relocate and reschedule the meeting. So in the process, there was an outburst in the community, and he realized his mistakes. So he decided to apologize and also step down and take some reflection. So what I noticed is that he's trying to take time off work. It's like this work is telling on him. Remember, he wants to take time to go and have vacation with his family. For him to be itching for vacation, maybe he's not getting some nice quality family time. He wants to dedicate the time to his family, but unfortunately, his work couldn't even give him that time. You understand? Developers at his work started screaming. So now, how is he responding to it? He's responding to it by seeking more time out. You understand? People are complaining that, hey, you missed our meeting, and you're responding, hey, I'm sorry guys, I have to miss more meetings and take some more time out so that I can understand why I missed the meeting. You know what? It doesn't make sense. People are complaining that he missed a meeting and he's trying to take out more time. So I think his whole family and his work is beginning to tear him apart. So eventually he will have to choose. Even if he returns to work, I don't see him. I feel personally that he might not work much longer with Linux. Maybe he has got to the stage where he needs more time for his family, or a different kind of work that can provide more time for his family. All right. Let me know what you guys think. Let us have a good discussion in the comment section below. Remember that if this is the first time you're watching any of my videos, click the red subscribe button below. Thank you very much.